Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, neither the.
There's also one guest that ends in EXT. It's got a pretty strong signal down this end. That's probably at the bottom of your list.
I connected.
The EXT is the one that we put in to try and reach the Hysterical Society.
Were you at my neighbor's house?
Yeah, I've been there all week.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't know
And the
that.
other one on the other side too.
Oh, yes, she told me I was taking a walk with her,
Yeah.
Arboreto. Yeah, I like both of those neighbors. Really, really nice people.
Uh-oh.
Oh, come on. Why does your computer always update? Goes into automatic update always like when I'm about to get on a customer call or
Oh, can't turn that off somehow?
Zoom.
Is that a corporate thing?
Looks like we're on. Are we on? When they're both, no, guess.
I can't see the TV. Is the TV showing the room?
Yes.
Yes, then you're on.
Okay. Well, good evening, Nottingham. Welcome to another select board meeting. And before we start, I'd just like to start a new tradition, if all the board members would agree, where I'd like to take a moment before each meeting. We recognize a town employee. Last week we recognized Officer McNeil, and this week I'd like to recognize Officer Nate Eaton for his backing up Northwood in that active shooter scenario that happened last week. So I think we should just take a moment when you see him on his travels to thank him for his work that he's been doing. That being said, we'll call the meeting to order. If we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Has everybody had an opportunity to look at the payroll, the manifests? I didn't see anything.
Good on that.
Tyler, John? Good. Tony? Someone want to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve the accounts payable manifest of May 17th, 2021, the payroll manifest of May 18th, 2021.
Second.
There you go.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And the minutes from last, everybody had an opportunity to look those over?
Yeah, I know. I have a couple comments on the minutes. And I didn't get to look at them. I apologize.
You want to table it till next meeting?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll table the minutes until the next meeting. So, reports from assigned boards and committees, budget's not meeting, planning board?
Our planning board had a meeting Wednesday, May 12th. Had hearings on 3 cases. Case 21, excuse me, -006 -SIT. They approved the application for Wade DeMonch, owner of Precision Cut Lumber. Gonna have a furniture, they're hoping to have a furniture production business located on Old Turnpike Road in Nottingham. And then second one was case 21-008 -SIT, application from James Funacella requesting a site plan approval for expansion of Garden Center, which is the old feed place there. They're gonna turn that into they're gonna sell mulch and stone and all that.
Oh.
That site plan application was approved on some contingencies that they get it to the town, you know, as they go along the process. And then the other one was just a scenic road tree trimming from Eversource, and that was approved. And we also had continuance of the Tuttles. And it was unanimous, two-lot subdivision located at 15 Kennard Road in Nottingham.
Okay. Nothing on CIP 300th?
300th meeting Thursday night.
Thursday, okay. And Marston Farms Recreation.
Yeah, so I actually went out there with Courtney, myself and Karen Quinn, who's on the committee, went out Tuesday with Courtney and walked where the trail is, where they're looking to lay the trail out. And I'll tell you, I'm impressed with their ability to have the vision of where the trail should go. And I think it's gonna be great. It's gonna be, if able to lay it out the way that they're envisioning it, it'll be like a mile trail, which is great for, you know, people with kids and
Yeah.
elderly to walk along it. There is a cleanup day scheduled for this Saturday. I think it's at 10 o'clock. And looking for as many volunteers as possible who can come out and help, particularly looking for people who have four-wheelers, who might be able to drag out some of the, you know, bigger
Scrap metal.
scrap pieces to a central area where we can then kind of load them into dumpsters from there. So, yeah, again, continued to be amazed by Courtney and Matt and all the great work they're doing out there.
You're doing a fabulous job.
Yep.
And I'd like to challenge all the members of the board to participate in the cleanup if they can so spare the time. Make this a community effort as well. So, all right. Anything else, Donna?
Oh, good.
Okay. Town administrator report.
All right, we're gonna start a big tree removal project, the ash trees on Jabig. I'd sent you some background on that stuff.
Yep.
The borers, the beetles have wreaked havoc over there.
What are they doing with that wood when they cut that down? Is there any chance of the spreading?
I don't know. I know they think through that stuff. I just don't know the answer.
Okay.
As I understand it, they shred it and incinerate it to get all the larvae and the
Okay.
eggs and all that. It's not like they can dice it up for firewood and sell it, or also
Right.
spreading it further, so.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll follow up on that. I just don't know.
Okay.
Jabig is the big one. He's got one other spot. I can't.
Lucas Pond, it's that black tape they're wrapping around the trees, right?
Probably.
There's a lot of trees on Lucas Pond.
Ash?
They're all blonded, you know, where the bark starts flaking off.
That's what these are, the
There's a lot of them. There's a
Boar
lot.
Farm and Ledge Farm, the Eversource, that's what they're going.
They're seeing it too, yeah. Yeah, Sean went through and they get the, that's co-op territory over there. Got them to take care of as many as we could. Unfortunately, over there on Jabig, actually, the power lines don't follow the road for a good chunk of the road, so we couldn't mooch off of them for too much, but. Also hitting the beach road, there's a couple widowmakers on the road to the beach. They're gonna do that in the same batch, before the beach opens. This one's another one of those, we gotta do it, but we really didn't budget for it, so we're going ahead with it and we'll figure it out later, but it's probably a $10,000 surprise when it's all said and done. And it's not gonna be the last of them either. We know, there are other spots that are popping up, and this is the only solution, so. Field work on our audit seems to be complete. We had 2 or 3 auditors here last week for a couple days. In your pile to sign, you got a lot of paperwork tonight. The tax warrant, this is the, you instructing the tax collector to send out tax bills in a certain amount. You will recall that the June tax billing is basically last year's tax bill cut in half as an estimate for the full year. So if folks are wondering how much the tax bill is going to be, it's the 2 from last year added together, cut in half. That's where the number comes from. No impact from this year's budget. The reval is already baked in, so that's where that number is going to come from when folks open the mail. And then lastly, we finally have a date to do something with the public for Chief Gunner Foss. We working with his wife, trying to find something that works kind of for everybody and everybody's comfortable with. Wanted to have an outside option, and so that everybody's comfortable and we don't have to cram a whole bunch of people in. So the thinking is some kind of open house on the 21st, which is a Monday.
Yep.
There's a very slight chance that there's still some baseball going on, but we picked that date because it's kind of as late as we could get before everybody disappears for the summer, and still hopefully not stepping on baseball. So
What was the time for that, Chris?
we don't have an exact time, but it's late afternoon, early evening kind of thing, and the gist of it all, this is as far as we got, is open house, casual, fly, come by after work or before
Yeah.
dinner, and say hi and thanks to Gunner. The objective being to get everybody some FaceTime with him and the public, but not have a whole bunch of people all, crammed together. Because we never got a chance to do anything for the community at large, so. Anything else that, we can use help with, any other programmatic suggestions there. We don't want to have a point in time event, because so there's no presentations, there's no,
Yep.
that kind of stuff. We did that already. You all did that on his last day, or right around his last day with the department, so. It'll be something out here. The sign for the fields will be going up the weekend before on the Snack Shack building down there. So it'll either be up here close to the building if it's bad weather, or perhaps down by the bandstand with canopies or something. But that's as far as we've got. So if you have suggestions or want to help throw something together there, we figured drinks and probably not much in the way of food, but maybe
Yeah.
a nibble.
Okay.
And that's, Heidi and I working with the calendar and what we think everybody will be comfortable with. Welcome any other input on that at any time.
And Gunners agreed to this?
Yes,
Wow.
that was a factor.
Wow.
So we'll, in a bonus, we'll be able to promote this at the election. Right, we wanted to use that time, because that's the time that we actually see everybody, that he would see everybody.
Yep.
He would always hang around and see everybody, so we'll be able to promote it on the 8th, and make sure we reach everybody that's, apt to be interested, hopefully. And that's all I got. There's plenty more for me later, but, okay.
Are you, anything new that we should know about as far as the June 8th and the election? Or
No.
that's coming later?
No, we haven't had any, I haven't had any communication with the election officials. Everything's just kind of on track. What becomes of the COVID protocols with that? I don't know. We haven't heard anything from the state, nor have I talked with the election officials about it. So I think that's probably going to be a late decision.
Okay.
That leads us to one of the notes that I have. You don't have a meeting scheduled between now and that election, because the next 2 weeks from tonight is Memorial Day. The election prep and perhaps the sale of real estate are the only two things that I can see driving you to another meeting between now and then, but perhaps before we finish tonight, we can decide if we want to pencil something in now, or you want to wait. Or if you just know that you want to meet around then, we can.
We don't know a definitive date on the property or anything like that?
You will see in non-public tonight where we are with the current prices that are currently on the market. If you don't finish those subjects tonight, we're not going to want to wait a month with them actively on the market. So you'll know at the end of non-public, I think, if you you know, where you are with that. You just haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, so.
All right, well, we can think about that. and-
Yeah, so just don't let me forget, you know, we gotta set another meeting if necessary.
All right, no action item reviews from last meeting. Assessing, looks like we got a
Jeez.
number of ones here.
All right, well, I'm gonna knock out 3 of these, so I'm gonna make a motion that the select board approve the elderly exemption for map 71 lot 130, the veterans credit for map 29 lot 13, and the disabled exemption for map 68 lot 110.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous?
I'll do make a motion to accept the intent to cuts for map 13, lot 3, for map 14, lot 2 and 3, for map 29, lot 8, for map 18, lot 15, map 76, lot 2, map 65, lot 1, and map 46, lot 6.
There's one more.
Did you intentionally skip 52?
Oh, sorry. Nope.
Okay.
And map 52, lot 8A.
I'll second.
All right, a motion and a second. All in favor?
Right.
Unanimous? Is there anything in particular on the abatement?
That one's just administrative, isn't it? Isn't it a,
It was pretty straightforward.
Okay,
I didn't,
I think we're correcting if I remember correctly, correcting a bookkeeping mistake or a
Yeah.
timing,
Yes.
something that happened too late, so it triggered a tax
Yep,
bill,
yep,
maybe?
yep.
Is that right?
yes.
yeah, it was, yeah.
Yeah, so we're,
All an administrative.
something got entered too late, so it triggered a tax bill, we want to abate that.
Okay,
I'm not.
All right, I'll make a motion that the select board approve the abatement for map 5 lot 2-29.
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor? Unanimous? General business?
Any chance you want to do D first?
Sure.
Let's go.
Sure.
Let's
Let's
do
do
it. Let's do it.
What's your pleasure? We are currently operating with a mask policy here in this building. Our public safety people are following their own protocols as recommended by state folk.
I am good with lifting it.
The governor lifted it, didn't he? I mean, either today or tomorrow or whatever, I mean, they're following the CDC guidelines, so if you're fully vaccinated, inside, outside, you're good to go.
If you're not vaccinated,
I believe they're still.
I don't think we can make unvaccinated people do anything, and I don't really think we have a way to validate, but we could certainly say, if you're not yet fully vaccinated, please wear a mask. Make it voluntary, honor system.
Staff is all comfortable.
yeah.
Okay. I'm in favor of lifting it.
Yeah, me too.
Okay,
John?
No
Yeah.
problem here.
all right. We're lifting it.
Lifted.
After tonight, at about 9 o'clock tonight.
So wait, just to be sure, let's just be clear. This is for staff working in the office, in the building, as well as people entering the building.
Yes, that,
Okay, just want to make sure we're all,
and I guess the outlier that you govern, it would be the recycling center, where we also have public interaction, albeit limited, but, so I think most people at this point are comfortable with that
okay.
arrangement. But I know our staff will be. This is more about what the residents are comfortable with. I want to give our people cover that, you know,
Yeah.
they're following the rules.
Yeah.
Whatever we tell them to do.
But fire and police are following their,
Yeah, I think
Their
they're.
guidance from there.
Yep, they have guidance from other
Yes,
places,
yep,
and
yep.
it's driven as much by their contact with people in their immediate situations as it is.
yeah,
You know, they're not in the building, they don't
okay.
act any different. That's what we're talking about, yeah. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure everybody's clear that we're all doing the same thing.
I spent most of Saturday at the recycling center. I can tell you the vast majority of people were wearing their masks in and out of the building.
Yeah, well, that's
No.
what we've asked them to.
That's what
right.
we've asked them to do. Does this have impact, Chris, on like library?
Library sets its own
Sets its
policy
own.
on that. I will tell them what we're doing.
Yeah.
We haven't been in lockstep, but we've been pretty close, and they will appreciate knowing what we do. But
Okay,
they'll probably be just behind us. I don't know their meeting schedules and whatnot.
this in no way, shape, or form impacts or influences what the school does.
No.
Just saying it for the record, Lorraine.
I would be fine lifting it for the recycling center. It's a more outdoorsy environment than in
Yeah.
here.
No,
Yeah.
fine,
I think there's less risk there.
I'm good with it.
all good.
Okay.
All right.
That's D. That was D.
Yep.
Great.
Yep.
That's all I had on that, yeah.
All right, conservation?
Yeah, so I wrote to you on a request from the Conservation Commission. I gave you pretty much everything I have. I don't know where you wanna take it. They've got an easement monitoring concern that they wrote to you about, and
Did anybody write a letter to the encroacher, or whatever you want to say?
they, I think, broadcast something a week or so before they did their monitoring, as they're required to do, that said, hey, we're coming in the next 7 to 10 days. I'm not aware of any contact with individual property owners.
I mean, after the fact.
No, I'm not aware of any of that, no.
I mean, I've never done this before, so I don't know how to give guidance on it, because, you know, do we write him a letter and say, hey, you're against, is it part of his deed? I don't even know what it says in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's unclear to me what the exact issue is, or what the question is.
Something about fence or what, on the actual conservation easement? Is that, did I end?
Well,
That nature?
the report to you included a few things that,
Duck pond or something.
yeah, one is an encroachment of a small building, one is maybe a violation, they haven't determined it, and one is, there may be another violation, but they didn't get on the property, so they don't know if it is really a violation or not. But I guess that's how I could, in layman's terms.
But I mean, their normal process is to try and actually talk to the individuals, right?
I would have assumed that would be part of the process, but
But we can't be definite sure that that has occurred, though.
I don't think it has. It's not that I don't know, it's that I think it did not.
Be more apt to have them try to address it first, rather than having us. If the rest of the board would agree with that.
But what do we do for disciplinary action? I mean, what are we gonna
What
take
can
it
we
to
do?
court?
Well, yeah, well,
That is the point at which I would think you would get involved. If the enforcement efforts fail, at some point, that is the last resort, yes. There are other things you can do leading up to that, but,
I would say let them try to address it first, and then, come back to us as.
Yeah, I'd like to understand, or at least
Yeah.
see that there be one discussion
Yeah.
with,
I mean,
Between
should
them.
They come in and see us though, first? I mean, sounds like they've tried to do some things. I mean, I mean, not as much, but.
they certainly can come talk to you also. That's,
Is that something we want to do, have them come to a meeting?
do we want to do that, or do we want to ask Chris to go back to them first and just let them know that the board would like to know that there would like for there to be a conversation between them and the property owner first?
I would say let's do that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
okay, and then if that fails, invite them to come
Yep.
Yep,
to see you
Yeah.
directly.
yep.
Okay.
But I would
Thank
like
you.
to see a good faith attempt at having a conversation with them.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, the questions that you sent them on the 7th, Chris. I think if we could get solid answers on those, that would clear up a lot of the uncertainty.
Okay.
Any more discussion on that?
Nope.
Nope, okay. American Rescue Plan Act.
Okay, so, just realized my handwritten note page is left behind, so I'm gonna do this from memory. The American Rescue Plan Act is the
money.
the money, yes, thank you. This is the big money,
Head it out for us, John.
yeah. So, we got word when we knew what the law said when it passed 6 weeks ago, and then, the law said, well, these are the broad things that you can do. Department of Treasury is gonna come out with some more specifics, in a month, and here, we just got that, last week. The gist of it, they haven't changed the purpose, obviously, that's only Congress can do that. And we got some additional meat on some of the bones. We're waiting, I think, for some more, detail and some help from somebody like the NHMA, to help us cut through some of the legalese and the formulas and how we can, they put this in a New Hampshire context for us and tell us what we can really do. But I do think I have enough to at least give you some examples and some things we know we can do and things we know we can't do. And they generally will fall into two categories to start. One is, and this is how you may want to think about it, how you approach it, taking on or looking for new activities, things that we don't typically do, but for this money, we have an opportunity to do them. I'm talking about things that we do, most of them meaning giving funding to households, businesses, nonprofits that are doing activities that fall into these things or that need help because of the pandemic. That's kind of one group of uses of the money, and the other would be probably more what you'd think of our historical style, which would be, let's find a way to use this money to pay for things we were already doing and use our money for something else or just tax less.
Yeah.
Or some mix of those two things.
Yeah.
Those are all open to you. Importantly, we've got about 3 years to do this. I cannot find any mention or worry about, or any incentive to do this quickly. There doesn't feel like a use it or lose it kind of situation right away. It would probably be political suicide to pull it back. So, the promise has been made and the commitment's gonna be there. The cash is going to be here in two chunks, one probably a month from now and one a year from now. So it's two big piles of money early and then 3.5 years to spend it on these eligible activities.
Wait, so a chunk of money is gonna be here in a month?
Yep.
And so it just sits there until we can find a use for it, or justify a use for it?
Yep,
It sits in our general fund?
yep,
Jeez.
yep. Cash money,
Wow.
yep. We haven't seen the cash, obviously, but the estimates that we're seeing from people's formulas is 508,000 to Nottingham.
So what happens if we have nothing that falls within rare, but if we had nothing that fell within those categories, what happens to that money, since they've already given it to us?
Presumably, we'd have to give it back in 2025.
Okay.
We just
I'm
gotta
not,
make sure we find something that's.
I'm not worried that I was worried last year, the first wave of COVID money that we got, with the first wave of instructions that we got, I was worried we weren't gonna be able to spend it.
Yeah.
Right, you may
Yeah,
recall that.
Yeah.
We weren't alone in that. We weren't spending it fast enough. Towns and cities weren't spending it fast enough because it wasn't working. So they changed the rules and opened the floodgates, right? That's what happened last year. And what the change they made was, they said, forget it, just use it to pay for your public safety payroll. And that, all of a sudden, of course, if you get that
Yeah.
permission to do that, then fine, it gobbled up our 180 grand, no problem. That was easy. And it also made the bookkeeping and the tracking of it really painless and all those things. So, that was last year's story. We will look for the best uses of these things, but all else being equal, if we can find ways to do this cleanly with fewer transactions and,
Yeah.
easy audit and all that stuff, great, but,
But you should start seeing some guidance from NHMA and hearing what other towns are thinking.
yeah, and I'm curious to see what
Yeah.
are the clever things that
Yeah.
people are going to be doing. That first batch of things that, call it giving out money, passing the money through us to other entities, can fall into a few different things. It's, households that suffered economically because of COVID, businesses that suffered, help for businesses to recover and reconfigure, and whether it's industry-wide or a certain business in town, you have what looks to be a remarkable amount of flexibility here to do that. So in that realm, that's really alien to us. We give a small amount to some charities.
Yeah, if they ask for it.
Yeah, and even smaller amount to some households that meet our welfare criteria and getting a jam, all of that is a fraction of this money.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Those new uses kinds of things, I think would probably, if we want to go down that road, would probably best be done in partnership with somebody else that has more experience doing
Yeah.
that. If you want to target households, or you want to target businesses, or, industries, or what have you, we can find partners that can help you do that fairly and effectively.
Yeah.
That's not something I would want to just kind of make up and,
No.
we could figure it out.
Were there any things that, like, the police or fire department didn't have that might have made this whole thing easier, better, safer for them?
No, once we got into the groove on the PPE and those kinds of
Yeah,
things,
yeah.
the money was there. We didn't hear from our people that we had glaring shortcomings like that. You could use this for public health stuff too.
Yeah,
PPE or response, medical response and all those things. Again, not something we've done.
Yeah.
But open,
Yeah.
it's open to us if we wish. It was hard for me to think about those things, because from the numbers, there were obviously some pretty significant impacts to folks in Nottingham from COVID.
yeah,
But it didn't show up in a lot of the things that we do. We didn't see big jumps in welfare requests, people
Yeah.
losing jobs and losing housing because of it. We did not see a big shortfall in tax receipts. We did not see a big drop off in any of our other revenue sources. Anecdotal, you look at the town by town unemployment numbers, Nottingham actually did pretty well through the depths of it. We had a brief spike, but really came back quickly. So, just numerically from what we see, the impact here was nowhere near as severe as it was in lots of places. So that's just the nature of who lives here and the businesses that they work in and those kinds of things. But so it was hard to think about, we don't have an obvious industry that we could jump in and support, like you can think of in some places that are really focused on one industry or one slice of the population that took a real hard hit. None of those jumped out at me. It doesn't mean they don't exist, but they just didn't jump out at me in terms of those pass-through kinds of activities. In the other bucket of things that we already do. How can we use this money to help us in activities that we already do? It gets a little easier to identify things that we can use this funding for. The most simple one, at least up front, is going to be replacing lost revenue. If our revenue falls at any time in the next 4 years, we can use this money to backstop that. There's a formula that we don't know every little piece of yet, but there's, looking back at 2020, we can probably grab some of the money and make up for lost revenue there. They even put in a escalator, so if your revenue was less than 4% of the year before, you can fill that gap. So going forward, that could be a real simple, clean way to just take some of this money and stick it back in the fund balance. Take it from here and wrap it around as lost income. Unfortunately, it's done in the aggregate. So all of your revenue all together. So you don't, if you made less money selling aluminum cans, you can't make up that. And if you made less, it's just the sum total. So we didn't suffer that badly last year. And we don't know yet if the school revenue falls into that formula. So if you take the school taxation and the checks we give to the school, we're the school's tax collector, that really dwarfs everything that we do. So if the school budget goes up by 5% and the school tax bill goes up by 5%, our aggregate revenue is going to go up by 4%.
Right.
Just on the formula.
Right.
So that may knock us out of this easy revenue replacement scheme.
Oh, yeah.
We don't know yet. I don't know how that, we haven't seen how that formula works. Let's see, other things we can do, rebuilding public sector capacity. Our capacity to do economic relief, if we wanted to do more targeted giving of this money, we could also pay ourselves to build the infrastructure to do that. I think we'd be better looking for some help, but we wouldn't have to pull money out of our pocket to do that. We could use this money to do the, if we wanted to give money to needy families or needy businesses or whatever, that's all there. Many of the things are targeted at populations that we just don't have a lot of in town, so we'll just pass over those. And then two other categories where you can envision stuff for us. One is providing premium pay for essential workers. Last year, you recall, our police and firefighters got an extra stipend from the governor that was just layered on top of their regular pay.
Yep.
This allows you to do that with pretty much anybody that's working in person. Over and above that, doesn't have to be public safety, it's all in-person workers. And then investing in water and sewer infrastructure, and I think this is going to be our sweet spot in all this. I think, depending on how they define managing and treating stormwater. There's plenty we can do there. Perhaps all the culvert work we're doing, bridge work, maybe. We've got the Kelsey Road culvert situation looming.
Any cisterns that need?
That might be a stretch on what I've read, but that is a fair thing to look at. It's a different kind of infrastructure that might play. We do have some that are aging.
And they do operate off of stormwater collections, so.
Yeah.
I mean, it technically is a stormwater control measure.
Yeah. We don't have any sewer infrastructure, and nothing that I've seen, allows us to, do much with privately owned sewer, anything, or water treatment. We don't do anything like that. We don't publicly provide water, although The well that we're gonna dig at Marston is going to be a public water supply. Remember, we moved the well to make sure that we could use it as a public water supply. I bet we could slide that in here.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be really
That's
cool.
a drought fallback mechanism for townspeople if we, zippity-doo. There's
What,
money for
is,
that.
is there an issue with the well at the old town hall?
The well is fine, but we had a busted pipe, this winter when the heat went out, so
Okay.
we're chasing those now.
Any possibility that might kind of fall into?
If, I don't think that, without redigging that well to get to better water, I don't see it, but that, we could look for that.
Okay.
That water is not potable. It
Okay.
passes the tests,
But,
but you wouldn't drink it to look at it, so, if we wanted to replace that well and make it a public water source is a very specific thing, that we, it's tested and, it's available during droughts. This building, this kitchen is really our only one in town.
so anything that we have planned for that kitchen, is there some way of?
I haven't seen it, I haven't seen a way to finagle it in yet.
Yeah,
Public infrastructure,
okay.
yeah.
Chris, what's the process? So if we got these funds in a month, what's the process for approval to spend them? Does it come from this board, or does it have to go to?
At this point, it's certainly in this year, it's unanticipated revenue, so you have the authority to spend it. We don't know yet how New Hampshire's gonna tell us to count it next year. We know we're getting a check next year for $250,000. Sometimes the New Hampshire, or the DRA would look at that and say, yeah, we know you're getting 250 in revenue, just don't tax for it, you gotta count it in your budget. But it could also be, since it's restricted, it may not count that way. That's an answer that we don't have yet from New Hampshire. So, I think it's gonna be it's gonna play out mostly as off budget, under your control.
Okay.
I think that's how it's gonna play out. Once you, let's say you use some of it to recapture lost revenue. In an accounting sense, that would be taking it out of this pile of government, this federal bucket, and putting it into our general fund to replenish the revenues that we lost.
Does it count as revenue?
It would count as revenue at that point.
Yeah.
So it would reduce taxes,
Yep,
and it would also take it out of your control and put it in the control of town meeting,
got it, okay.
right? So once it finds its way to the general fund,
Got it.
it becomes, just like every other operating surplus and general fund money, the same money that we're proposing that we use to pay for the kitchen and
Got it.
the loader, I think, each year, that same pot, right? So I think one of the possible outcomes of this is that we find ways to move most of it into the general fund and put it in the hands of town meeting. That's and you could use it to offset taxes too. You can dip into that in the fall and reduce the tax rate with that money, if you choose. That is a nice, reasonably flexible way to squirrel the money away. Let's see, I think there's also, there's a possibility of investing in broadband infrastructure, but given this rule's specs, I think most everybody in town has access to the level of service that they have kind of precluded, so barring a few houses that we know don't have cable TV, I don't think broadband is gonna be in play for us. That may just be enough to wet your whistle. There's,
A lot to think about.
Yep,
there's another, NHMA's got a little workshop, next week or 2 weeks from now. I think everybody's we've had this for 3 or 4 days now. I think everybody's still just digesting. And we'll learn more from statewide sources as it shakes out, and perhaps from our auditors too. They're gonna have a finger in this.
On a related note, I saw something from NHMA about, a bulletin about DRA is taking applications for property tax relief for people affected by the pandemic.
Yes.
Is that something that we should be pushing, you know, the folks that are asking for abatements? Should we be pushing them in that direction?
I think that's on the front page of our website right now.
Is it?
And if anybody that, we can get that to people that are not successful with their abatement applications, yes. Yes, it is on the front page of our website right now. But I'll make sure we drop a note to those, you've had half a dozen or so people that have had hardship cases. We'll get that information to them, if we think it will apply. I don't want to damn it, you know, we'll do a little.
Yeah, we don't want to push everybody that way, but if it will help.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't looked at the criteria on it, but we'll explore that.
Okay.
DRA tax. I think that's all I can tell you about the ARPA at this point.
Health enforcement.
Health enforcement is item C. The health inspector, building inspector has been working with our town attorney on a cleanup case. Since you're going to be reviewing guidance from discussing guidance from your attorney, you can do this in non-public if you wish. I don't need you to, but if you want to, you can do that in non-public. We have other non-public business to do. All I really need you to do is bless us taking affirmative action in court. We usually don't sue people or businesses. We're usually on defense. And before we do that, I just wanted to get your blessing in this case to take it to that level. We've had a long ongoing chase that started with a rat complaint and went through I don't know how many banks of ownership. He's been chasing this for a long time. It's more than rats. It's a junkyard situation too. So in order to get some leverage on the bank that now owns the property, we'd like to get a suit on record. It's really just a filing just to keep their feet to the fire. It's never going to see a courtroom. It's just to keep the pressure on. We are
We're not actually suing the individual, we're suing the bank.
probably there was some talk of the individual as well, but
Right, well, I read the whole
yeah.
thing that you sent, and I
Yeah.
saw it all, but I got.
the bank is the
What
target.
do you think was the target was the bank in order to make sure that they upheld their agreement or to
Correct.
clean up?
Yep. Yeah, we've got to the point where we've had good conversations with them, but it is an organization of the scale and size of which is, sometimes you need to get on a different list to get attention in there. And that is what our attorney is recommending, just to keep things moving forward. Their intentions are good, but they're bureaucratic intentions.
Do you, you need a motion or?
Yeah, I gave you just a proposed language. Somebody's got to have that in front of you. I don't.
I got it.
Thank you, Don.
I'll make a motion that the select board authorize the health inspector and town council to conduct all necessary legal action to address health and safety concerns with 278 Stage Road.
Second.
We have a motion and a second? All in favor? Unanimous?
Thank you.
The wording that you said.
Yes.
All right, no appointments. Anything we want to review for next meeting? No?
I think the only thing we put off was the minutes.
The minutes, yep. The minutes, thank you.
I mean, I only had two. Never mind, we'll wait, sorry.
What letters are we on for non-public, Chris?
D.
Just D?
D is the sale of real estate. If you have anything else you want to cover, we can use other letters as well.
Okay. Well, I'll make a motion that the select board enter non-public session per RSA 91-A:3, section 2D.
I'll second.
Second, and We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Roll call vote.
I, Ben Bartlett.
Donna Danus.
Hi, Tony Dumas.
By Tyler Eaton.
Hi, John Warren.
Okay, and once we've completed our non-public session, we'll come out of it, and we'll adjourn the meeting and seal the minutes. Thank you, Nottingham.